On the show today, we pit the Suzuki V Storm 650 XT versus the Kawasaki Versys 650. A tale of two cities in the Honda city. And Shumi fields all your questions on Auto Selector. Hi, welcome to Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, Sohini Dutt. Now, the middleweight adventure tourer category has been very quick to gain popularity amongst the premium motorcycle buyers in the country, and the Suzuki V Storm 650 GT is the latest entrant in that segment. But the Kawasaki Versys 650 was originally the motorcycle that everyone wanted in that particular segment. But does the V Storm have enough to dethrone the Versys? Well, Abhay and Rishabh are out on a ride to just tell us whether it can.
How on earth did you find me? Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Hold on. So Rishabh, this is your idea of your day off from work, huh?
Well, if you have the V Storm with you, then probably, yeah.
I so knew it. When I didn't see the bike in the parking lot this morning, I was like, I think this guy's gone for a ride.
You guessed.
Let me go and catch him. And of course, I know Shumi had a lot of fun. I'm not surprised that you're out here riding this motorcycle.
It is indeed very good, yeah.
So which is why I thought, let me get the Versys 650 and join you for this ride, and let's see which one of these two is the better middleweight adventure tourer. What say?
Okay, let's go.
Chal. So Rishabh, I think let's talk about the design first. You know, here the V Storm is the bike that looks more purpose-built to me, especially with that beak up front. Plus it's got a longer wheelbase. And yeah, I like the seating position also. You know, it's nice and comfortable, but it's also easier to stand up on the pegs quickly once you go off-road. Right. What do you think?
I think definitely agree with you. And also the wire spoke wheels. I think this is probably the only middleweight adventure bike with tubeless wire spoke wheels as standard. So I think that really sets it apart, gives you a bigger advantage when you're going off-road. I think compared to the Versys here, where you only get alloys, and it's sort of like a really high road bike, like on stilts.
Yeah, it's like a street bike that's been put on stilts, but I have to say that seat there is more comfortable.
Actually,
and also you sit taller on the Versys, which feels nice.
Yeah.
But you know, I think I personally like the V Storm here simply because of those golden colored wire spoked wheels.
Oh yeah,
especially the 19-inch front one.
Yeah, it definitely stands out.
So Rishabh, you know, what's even more interesting, not just the design, but I really find it interesting to note that both the motorcycles are so closely stacked to each other, you know, especially if you think about it on paper, both have twin-cylinder engines. Of course, the Versys gets a parallel twin, the V Storm gets a V-twin. But in terms of the numbers, I think this makes about 2 PS lesser than the V Storm, while the V Storm makes 2 Newton meters lesser than the Versys. So it's quite interesting. Of course, both get 6-speed gearboxes.
Yeah, I think speaking of the gearboxes, both are really precise and slick to operate. The clutch action is really light. What I like about the Versys though, that you get adjustable clutch lever that's not present on the V Storm.
And of course, I think, well, both come from Japanese manufacturers of the highest repute, so you can't really say that this engine is better or the V Storm engine is better. It's really close and very interesting to see how much intense the competition is on the powertrain front here.
I agree with you, but I want to say that this bike has a really linear power delivery that I think I really love. It's so creamy, so nice.
Yeah, the cream is good, but then this has a bit of a surge. Well, of course, this engine comes from the Ninja 650. That's why the Versys is slightly punchier off the mark, I think.
It does feel so, yeah.
But Rishabh, having said that, you know, that how closely stacked both the powertrains are, I think the V-Box numbers, the acceleration numbers to be precise, will be very interesting, because You were right that this has a very linear power delivery, while the Versys, it feels slightly punchier, but I have a hunch that the V Storm is going to be slightly quicker, you know.
You really think that?
Yeah, because when you mentioned the linear acceleration, well, the gear ratios on both feel similar, so there's nothing to give over there. But the linear acceleration is definitely going to help that engine pull stronger in each gear as compared to the Versys. Now, the Versys, it's better at the top, you know, like you cross 7,000 RPM, you can feel how the engine sounds better, it sounds sportier. But then that's where you really have to wait to hit that mark.
Exactly.
Whereas on this, the acceleration and the punch is just coming through the red band.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. I think the moment you roll onto the throttle, it feels really nice and smooth. The way the power comes in, and that also helps you sort of in controlling the amount of power you want to really send to the back wheel. So it feels really, you know, what you say, nice and connected. You know, I don't like a certain surge,
I think I disagree there. The throttle response on the Versys feels slightly more connected, and that's because it has the shorter stroke. The V Storm there has a longer stroke engine.
Yeah, if you say that. So I noticed you almost lost the rear end when you came sliding in, didn't you?
Yeah, that's because the Versys does not have traction control.
Well, the V Storm does. 2 levels, and I can switch it off also.
Yeah, I have to agree that, you know, the Versys feels slightly dated on that front. In terms of rider aids, the V Storm is certainly the better motorcycle. But, you know, I would have liked both the motorcycles to let you also switch ABS off, because you cannot turn it off on either motorcycle here. But yeah, let's talk about the suspension. You know, that's where I think the Versys has the upper hand as compared to the V Storm. Well, it's got upside down front forks, and you can adjust them for preload and rebound as well.
In that case, this thing is dated. Got conventional right side up forks. So yeah, a bit of a disadvantage, I'd say.
Yeah, and I also have to say that this feels more stable. I mean, the Versys, it definitely feels more stable on tarmac, especially when you're talking about bad roads, broken roads. You know, you can feel how much more planted that suspension lets you stay. As compared to the V Storm, I think the front end is slightly stiffer than what I would have liked, and the rear is slightly softer in comparison. So that takes away some bit of confidence, especially when you're on broken roads.
Exactly. I think that front end on that bike is a lot more communicative. So full marks to Versys for that, I think.
Well, like I mentioned before, a lot of the cycle parts on the Versys come from the Ninja 650, which is a critically acclaimed street bike. So it's not surprising that this is so much more road focused as compared to the V Storm. You know, continuing on the topic of handling, well, the tires also make a difference. The Versys here, it comes equipped with Dunlop Sport Max tires, which are definitely tarmac oriented. And of course, that offers a lot of feel and confidence around corners. When you tip the bike in, you know that it's going to stay. Whereas the Bridgestone Battlax Adventure on the V Storm here are definitely more suited to an adventure tourer, slightly more. It's like a compromise between on and off-road riding. So there's a bit of a trade-off when you go on tarmac, when you're cornering. It does feel confident and planted, but I think the Versys is just half a notch better, you know.
And you also have to factor in the 17-inch wheels on the Kawasaki.
Yes, of course. It's got 17-inch wheels up front and at the rear, which makes a big difference. And that's where a lot of the confidence and the feel from the front end comes in from.
Exactly.
But you know, the tables are turned when you just venture off tarmac. I like how the V Storm feels so planted. Remember, we just threaded up that trail, and then both of us came back smiling after we rode the V Storm.
Yeah. I think the moment I was on the Versys, and I just lost confidence altogether. The way the front tire gets deflected by small rocks and what have you. So, you know, it just sort of robs you of all the confidence, and I was really tiptoeing my way through that whole patch.
Yes.
But I think on the V Storm, I could just open throttle, go for it, and it was fun. It was actually fun.
But Rishabh, I think a lot of the confidence that when you go off-road on the V Storm also has to do with its riding position. You know, I like the wide handlebar and the fact that, as I mentioned, the seat is lower, so you can just hop onto it, and when you're on tarmac, you're sitting there nice and comfy. But the moment you tread off-road, you can just get onto the pegs and stand up and put your weight down in a flash. You know, it's so easy to do that.
Yeah, you see the shape of the tank here, and you can lock your knees in. I mean, I'll just show it to you. So once you're standing there, you like hold the tank, and you have a lot of leverage over here. So very easy to. It feels very natural to get on the bike and you know, go off-road. So I think I agree with you completely. I think it's designed in such a way that, you know, you're on the road or off-road and you feel at home on this board.
Yeah. So Rishabh, good I joined you for this ride, no?
Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting day. Both these motorcycles are positioned as middleweight adventure tourers. It's nice to see that they've come up so well, the way they're positioned, the way they're packaged. You know, they're really nice in terms of helping somebody who's graduating from a smaller motorcycle and jump onto a middleweight and start riding and hitting the road, rather, to say so. But, well, we've discussed a lot of aspects about the V Storm and the Versys in terms of the design, the engines, the performance, the rider aids, the seating, off-road ability. So if you were to put your money down, which one would it be?
V Storm. I think it makes perfect sense. For a motorcycle that's giving you tubeless wire-spoke wheels, it's giving you traction control, it's giving you the ability to venture off-road, and it's a pretty good road bike as well, a pretty good tourer, very stable and confident on the highway. So as an overall package, it really is appealing, and I think in terms of you know, riding on Indian roads, it makes a lot more sense to have this bike.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Well, to be honest, I think my heart really wants to say the Versys because I've always been more of a tarmac guy and not really into off-road riding. But yeah, if I were to think from a consumer's perspective, somebody who wants to do a bit of off-road as well, the V Storm it is. It might cost about 55,000–60,000 more than the Versys, but you definitely get your money's worth. It's definitely got better rider aids, better off-road ability, and I think in the longer run, you'll have a better ownership experience with the Suzuki as well.
Exactly.
So Rishabh, the V Storm it is?
Definitely.
I think it is the winner here.
Exactly.
So come on, give me the key now.
It's my day off.
Dude, I want to ride it.